Okay, I tried to do something and it didn't work. I hope my audio is working. Um, this is basically going to be a special report. There's been some things going on lately, and I've also been trying some new equipment, and I thought I had the equipment worked out, but I don't. So I'm going to have to work on that for my next webcast. Now, May truth prevail, I'm doing fine. I've had a rather interesting few days, which is why I decided to change things up a little bit. Hit an entirely different subject that I had planned on doing tonight, but I came across some rather weird stuff, and somebody in the process of, I don't know, being smart or trying to prove something, I don't know what it is, but they have made a boneheaded mistake, a serious mistake, and not going to really get into what that mistake is. Those who have informed me of the situation know full well the mistake she made. Now, what started me down this line was a couple things that came up on BitChute that was sent my way. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this stuff up. In order to do so, I've got to do a little rearranging here and try and see if I can. Oh shit, I can't do this without taking me out of the picture. So I'm going to do this slightly different. I noticed a couple strange things that have been sent to me by some people over at BitChute, and there was this Valentine's Day. Did your date kind of fizzle out now? Just wait for the evidence to be given to the judge. Can't wait. Now this was put up uh, several days ago. And I'm sitting here scratching my head trying to figure out what this is all about. And then there was this other message that was put up on that particular website. And it said, the case won't be dismissed. You just wait and see. This is going to be epic. You won't know what to do. Your counsel will look like a deer in the headlights. Epic. Oh, and when you try to get close, you better do what they say. Now, this is all kind of mysterious. And since they mentioned the case, I was kind of at a loss. And then somebody sent me some screenshots from Telegram, and this popped up. And it's from the United States District Court of Minnesota. And what I've got on the screen, you can't read, but I did something uh, to track this down. And basically, what is in the thing is um, this. And what this basically states is that on the 7th of January of this month, Randy Erickson filed a thing with the federal court in Minnesota. And part of it reads Executive Order 13773, enforcing federal law with respect to transitional criminal organizations and preventing international trafficking. 2. Presidential Executive Order 13818, blocking the property of persons involved in serious human rights abuse. Both presidential orders mentioned above, I have the rest to the special federal prosecutor appointed by this court under the direction of John Durham. An exhibit list of affidavits is attached to this motion, and all the files, records, and proceedings herein. Well, this still didn't answer my question. So I did a search, and lo and behold, you see, people don't understand that I have access to court records, public court records. And so I went, and because of something that was on this, it's not clear in the screenshot that I have here. But up here in the top right hand corner is a case number. And with this case number, and knowing that this is in the United States District Court of Minnesota, I did what's known as a PACER search. And when I did the PACER search, this came up. Erickson versus Craig Sawyer et al. Now, basically, if you look down through this, this is actually what they do in the courts. They go backwards on the court docket. This is a docket that was filed in the state of Minnesota. So let us start with PACER 1. Now, in this, uh, on November 19th, or no, let's see, 11/19/2022, a complaint was filed in Minnesota court. And the complaint was against Robert Hammer, Tim Picasio, Craig Randall Sawyer. And there was a filing fee of $402, receipt number 3 dash so on and so forth, filed by Randy Lynn Erickson. Filer requests summons issued, case assigned to Judge Eric C. Tosterd, I think that's Toastered, her third, fourth master list referred to magistrate, and so on and so forth. And on November 19th, summons was issued to Robert Hammer, Tim Picasio, Craig Randall Sawyer, and copyright to Randy Lynn Erickson JGK. I don't know what the JGK is. I hope somebody can enlighten me. And the clerk's office on the 22nd of December reassigned the case because the original judge that was going to be handling this trial was promoted. And so we come up to motion to dismiss on December 22nd. There was a motion to dismiss plaintiff's complaint filed by Craig Randall Sawyer. And then notice of hearing for motion to dismiss is going to be held on 2/14/2022. Now, this gets back to the post that was put up about Valentine's Day. And this is part of how this thing began to unravel because Evil Destroyer put up that on Valentine's Day, this is going to fizzle out, which means she is stating that this request by Craig Sawyer to uh, have the motion dismissed on the 22nd uh, is going to be filed. And so there's more on this docket. You're going to have to beg with, but this is kind of hard to read. But there are, see, number 6, memorandum to support motion complaint filed by Craig Randall Sawyer. Uh, Next entry is meet and confer statement per motion filed by Greg Sawyer. This is done on the 29th of December. Next item, proposed order to judge motion general plaintiff's complaint filed by Craig Sawyer. Next, summons referred executed by Randy Lynn Erickson, Robert Hammer, served on December 13th, 2021. Answer due 1/3/2022. Craig Sawyer served on 12/13/2021. Answer due 1/3/2022. And it's got MTP. Interesting initials there. Uh, Motion for service of notice to Kim L. Pacasio, individually and principal, filed by Randy Lynn Erickson, MP. Sealed exhibit list by Randy Lynn Erickson. And we have affidavit 1 through 5, and it's exhibits 1 through 4, 5 through A5, A6 through A7, A6, A8, A9, and A11. And then next item, sealed placeholders, exhibits by Randy Lynn Erickson to USB drive. And this is 1 and 2 placeholder for USB drive. And then next, text only order canceling hearing scheduled for 2/14/2022 on defendant Sawyer's motion to dismiss local pursuant to local 7.1. The motion to dismiss will be decided on the papers without a hearing ordered by Judge Eric C. Tosrod on 1/14/22, and on January 14th, 2022, a motion to dismiss was filed by Robert Hammer. So the gist of this is that Randy Lynn Erickson has filed a lawsuit against Kim Pacasio, Greg Sawyer, and Mr. Hammer, and has produced these quote unquote evidence in federal court. Now, this is boneheaded number one, because if any of the paperwork filed in this case turns out to be false and filed with the knowledge that this information is false, and this includes her credentials, facts that she has put forward in the case, any of this, she can be charged with a federal crime. And so can her co victim or respondent, whatever you want to call them, in this case. Now, this little number here is something completely different. Uh, this was filed on this copy. It's hard to read, but it's fairly recent. Um, January 11th, I believe this was filed, and this is a rather peculiar uh, motion, and this gets into this executive order enforcing federal law with respect to transaction, so on and so forth, that I mentioned earlier. Now, there's a problem with this. Now, this motion, if you look over here under the signing by Randy Lynn Erickson, you will notice that there is a mailing address and a telephone number. These have been redacted, apparently, where this post was put on Telegram and mailed to me. Interestingly enough, when I looked this up on the court filings, the address and the telephone number were not retract, redacted. They are in the public record. Anyone who goes to the Minneapolis or federal court system in Minneapolis and does a PACER search, this mailing address and telephone number is going to show up. Now, I'm not going to put this information up there, but it's rather interesting where this address and phone number is located. And it means that someone has committed perjury because they lied to law enforcement about this location. Now, this matter, I suspect, since it came from the uh, enemy, I guess you could call it, of these people that are monitoring this situation and had the wherewithal to go and find these court records. And for whatever stupid reason, it was put over on Telegram, giving everybody the case number to look up. And we all looked it up. And this puts a number of people in a rather serious predicament because the person they're looking for is reportedly not at this address. But here we have a filing putting that person at this address and then going through and filing this insane record. Now, we don't know what's going to happen here on this. There is going to be, um, infiltrated by truth, violated my order not to be in here. So I guess we're going to have to take her right out. And how can the court be amazed at Randy Erickson's when we don't know what it is? It's a sealed thing. If they're amazed infiltrated by truth, how do you know about it? It's a sealed case. You shouldn't have access to these records. The records are sealed. And if they're unsealed by the parties in the case, what's funny about all this is infiltrated by truth is in here once again. What is with this database or this website that has infiltrated's panties in a wad? Man, what's so special? There's 8 people here. Uh, I've been mocked because I can only get 80 people in here. Now it's 10 at any one time. But just like clockwork, and I want to bet infiltrated by truth came in here. And that's an interesting statement. Infiltrated by truth. Well, you have been infiltrated by truth. You made a number of dumb mistakes when this information was posted on the internet, and posting it in such a way that everyone was able to find out who was in this redacted address and who was who. And do you realize that under federal law, the parties to the lawsuit, and this includes the plaintiffs and the defendants, have a right to discovery? It's called a writ of habeas corpus. The right to face your uh, accuser. And anyone with any basic knowledge of law means you just can't wait until February 14th to give all this information to the other party. There's something called reciprocal discovery. And they not only can file a summons for all this information, they've already been given the information. These people know every single solitary thing that is in that case. There is nothing that can be done by the originator of this weirdness to prevent it from being known by the parties that are being charged. It's a constitutional situation here. Constitutional that these people don't believe in. So everybody knows everything about what's in these documents. I don't, because I'm not a party to the case, but I've been told that the people that are parties to this case, every single one of them, know every letter that is in these documents. They've seen the copies of the zip drives, all of it. So there's no big secret. So this comment by, now let me bring it back up again. This comment here by Evil Destroyer, who's a nitwit, uh, means absolutely nothing, because they already know what he's talking about. And by posting this and the subsequent thing here, he let everybody out there know, or she, what's going on, and caused people like me to start looking around to see if we could find something with one of the parties' names on it. And then this thing shows up, and all the pieces fit together. We go, oh, somebody's filed a frivolous lawsuit in federal court, and they put this nonsense in a public place. And guess what? That means that somebody has violated a court order out of Florida. And now that violation is going to be filed with the Florida court as well as the Minnesota court. So we may have another uh, arrest warrant issued. And, I just cannot get over how stupid some people are. Now, when I originally saw this, I was going to go up to Minnesota and be there on the 14th. But since the judge has changed the format of how this is going to be done, I won't be going up there. I will be watching this case very closely. And the reason this is on both message bases, instead of being solely on the task force for truth, is because this is a federal court case. And I follow court cases that are in the public interest. So I will be covering this case as things come out, and I will report what happens. And it doesn't matter who wins or who loses, because this is a case of public interest. And uh, I'll be doing all the necessary steps to get what information I can get out of the court in regards to these cases. Now, you know, the one thing that came out in the original filing, which, oh, this is something else I did. I went in and I got, oops, hold on, I'm looking at something here. All right, let me go back. Now, let's see. Let me go to, now these may not necessarily be in order, but this is another complaint this is what started all this. Now, Randy wants the court orders vacated. And I find this curious because she is all about the truth and wanting the truth. And, but these court orders uh, were filed as restraining orders against the three of against Kim Pacasio by all the parties listed and were granted. And she don't like that. So she filed against that. Now, okay, let me get right. Okay, let's go down through this. This is the statement of claim, the header that gets into um, her credentials. She says she's a licensed real estate broker, blah, 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 blah. I'm licensed abstractor in the state of Minnesota. My abstractor license is blah, 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 blah. I am a notary public in and for the state of Minnesota. I am a former tribunal judge for the city of Blaine, Minnesota, that has a population. I am also a former city council member, and so on and so forth. I am acting trustee, escrow officer, and publisher of TimothyCharlesHomestat.com and writeintoaction.com. Now, this is important because she has just placed liability for herself in anything that is said and done on either of these two websites. And just for your general information, a check was done of these entities, and neither of these is listed as an LLC. An LLC is a limited liability corporation. And what a liability corporation does, it protects anyone that is an officer of a company from being sued personally for her conduct. And it protects her personal assets and his. But since they are not an LLC, they are personally liable for any damages and any awards in any lawsuit should they lose. Now, this is another curious thing. We go down to the next line. She states, I am a member of a task force created through a liaison to President Donald J. Trump operating under Joint Special Operations Command that gathers actionable intelligence of international crimes with the United States Army Intelligence Support Activity under the Pentagon, under the name Pentagon Pedophile Task Force, PPTF, which is confirmed by Pentagon JAG via Sergeant Robert Horton. This is false. And this does something that I have been trying to get across to everybody. This second paragraph has put Randy Lynn Erickson and Timothy Charles Homestead as declaring that they are agents of the United States government working with the former president of the United States and the uh, Joint Special Operations Command. This is a false statement. It is impersonating a federal agent or a representative of the federal government and is a felony. And it has been reported because of these statements that have been given in the past. Now, this is the interesting part. I have been criminally targeted for full spectrum and personal professional ruination, including kidnap, torture, and assassination based solely on the fact that in 2019 I became a member of the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force, wherein I gathered and turned over evidence to the United States military via my assigned liaison to Joint Special Operations Command and President Donald J. Trump, who serves on three presidential commissions under Presidential Donald J. Trump, including a commission for human trafficking and on judicial corruption. Now, the problem here is that she is going to have to prove this. She is going to have to give specific, verifiable evidence to the federal court that what she is stating in this paragraph is true. And if she cannot do that, then she can be charged with perjury and all kinds of things for giving false information to a federal court. This is not a county court, city court, state group. This is the United States federal court. And they do not look kindly on people providing them with false information. Now, in this part here, she claims that defendants Craig Sawyer, Kim Pacasio, and Robert Hammer, through their own actions and actions of their agents, conspired to issue kidnap, torture, rape, and murder threats to me and other task force members as part of a plan to stop me and task force members from communicating with the U.S. military, Department of Homeland Security, FEMA, the FBI, U.S. Border Patrol, state governors, law enforcement, and others regarding them. And it again names Craig Reginald Sawyer, Kim Pacasio, and Robert Hammer. Now, again, she has to prove all these. Just publishing this stuff in a court complaint doesn't make this true. What she has to do is prove it. Now, we move on. In the original criminal scheme that was deployed by Craig Randall Sawyer, Kim Alpacazio, and Robert Hammer against me contains a dynamic that utilizes state level judicial system and family court divisions to fraudulently obtain restraining orders that are being used improperly to stop my interstate communication through the use of county level court orders. There is evidence proving a well established scheme that begins in the civil division and then by design are converted to the criminal division, whereupon the target of the scheme is arrested and that for exercising their First Amendment and falsely imprisoned. Well, they apparently don't understand how the Florida legal system works. It's been explained she could have gotten on the internet, Googled down to the state of Florida to figure out how things work. And even if she did, it's not, and then decided to just completely disregard it, it doesn't change facts. And these facts will come out in court because the judge will check with the state of Florida regarding these documents. And when the federal judge finds out that this has all been properly done and has been checked and rechecked, you know, these people are going to have a problem. And also, these accusations that are being made have opened themselves up quite wide to civil liability and may even open them up to criminal liability based on what has been stated in this complaint and on all those zip drives, so on and so forth. Next paragraph. Defendants Craig Randall Sawyer, Kim Pacasio, Robert Hander have made material false statements in petitions requesting harassment restraining orders against me and against task force members, whereupon they claim I threatened them and followed them. In fact, I have never met any of them, nor have I communicated with any of them, nor have I gone to where they live. Now, first of all, this is irrelevant. Doesn't matter if she's personally met or he has personally met any of the parties in this action or not. The fact of the matter is they have engaged in an ongoing smear campaign, making false statements. They have falsely accused these individuals and others of crimes that they did not commit, of actions they did not partake in, and they have made absolute and complete false statements, both on videos, blogs, all sorts of communications, and they have filed constant false complaints with authorities at all levels. These are all both civil liability and criminal actions. My role for the PPTF is to gather intelligence and electronically communicate it to agencies. Once again, she is impersonating a government official. She is going to have to prove this in court with paperwork, with names, addresses, phone numbers, emails, and proper documentation in order to bolster her case. She just can't sit down, write on a piece of paper that I am this all important person. She has to prove it. And it's going to be interesting to see how she pulls this off. Because I guarantee you she's going to lose and lose big. And we go on. The aforementioned judicial scheme is presently being used in Minnesota in an effort to physically force and or lure me into a trap set at a local courthouse, whereupon my arrival and or while in transport, defendants Randall, Craig Randall Sawyer, Kim Alpacasio, and Robert Hammer and or their agents will make good on their written threats to kidnap and murder me. She had better be able to prove this, because if this turns out to be false, she has made a sworn complaint to the federal government, and the the penalties for perjury are quite severe. Now, let me see if we can find a new paragraph here. Excuse me. Yeah, the judicial scheme deployed against me involves co-conspirators who are agents of the Anoka County Sheriff's Office in Minnesota. On September 14, 2020, I contacted Christopher Beck, investigator, Anoka County Sheriff's Office, and advised Beck I was a member of a task force gathering information for the United States military via a Joint Special Operations Command liaison on a presidential commission. I provided Beck with information about defendant Sawyer, Pacasio, and others. I advised Beck that I was being subjected to retaliation for my work with the task force. For instance, I advised Beck that Randall Sawyer published a homemade wanted reward poster on his Tactical Insider and paramilitary website, calling me a fugitive and offering thousands of dollars in rewards or tips about my whereabouts through a telephone number with an area code of Washington, D.C. The Anoka County Sheriff's Office was aware of flyers being physically posted around Minnesota and postcards being mailed via the U.S. Postal Service to my associates, featuring the photo of a task force member, his vehicle, license plate number with claims he is a domestic terrorist who is planning to kidnap children and kill law enforcement. This is false. The flyer that she is talking about, or he, there are actually two of these. Uh, Now, the one she is talking about that was being given around in the state of Minnesota is based on a currently filed arrest warrant for Mr. Holmseth because he was too much of a coward to appear in court. It's a misdemeanor warrant. It's valid. Anybody on the internet can check it. It's in the county records up there. The judge issued this warrant for his arrest, and since he has not shown up, he is classified as a fugitive from justice. Anybody with any brains knows that. So this is a false statement. Now, the poster that contains the reward was made by a private group. I don't know if Craig Sawyer is involved in this or not. I've been told he is not involved, that all he did was publish it, and that he based his statements on court records, police records on Mr. Holmseth. Mr. Holmseth has an extensive criminal record. It's mostly in the state of Minnesota, and anyone can search for it. It's there. And two counts there are rather interesting. He has a grand theft charge, he has a trespassing charge. And it is rather interesting what these two counts involve. It's rather strange that neither Randy or Homestead talk about these two on the record situations. So this is where we are at here. You know, these idiots have decided to make a big deal out of this and try and impress their friends over there on the domestic terrorist, website, and they all believe, oh, she's this big deal. She has this contact with the president of the United States and so forth, when they do not. President Trump has never heard of these people. President Trump has nothing to do with these people. Yet they make these big braggadocious claims over there that that is exactly what's going on. Now, the federal government does have the power to subpoena former President Trump in court for this case. And former President Trump would have to testify whether or not he has had any association whatsoever with Tim Homestead, Randy Erickson, or any other party in this Pentagon pedophile task force, including somebody by the name of David Straight. And this is the same with Lynn Wood. Now, Lynn Wood mentioned Tim Homestead and mentioned him in a slightly different way than they're portraying it over there. But Lynn Wood himself would be subject to being called into court as a witness for the defense and explain if there is such a thing as the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force, what proof he has that it exists, and does he have any proof that Timothy Charles Homestead or Randy Erickson has had any connection to Donald Trump. So it's going to be an interesting 4 months because the 14th of February is going to be the first salvo fired in this little war because the judge is going to review the paperwork submitted by Hammer and Sawyer and determine if this case should be dismissed. And if the case is dismissed, both parties now have the right to ask the judge for injunctive relief for publicly accusing them of things mentioned in both of these reports and either get it as a counter to this action or in separate lawsuits filed by the parties accused. Excuse me. So, this is going to be a case to watch because now we have a case in federal court subject to all kinds of the rules of law that I don't think this woman and her companion are aware of. This woman is nothing but a a former now low level municipal judge that was involved mainly in real estate. She has never headed a criminal case or even a civil case for that matter. All she's done is check things having to do with taxes for real estate or plat titles searches, stuff like that. Stuff that has directly bearing on her real estate. She has no experience at all in civil or criminal law. She is not a member of any bar association. Uh, Laurie, it's February 14th, 2022. The judge is going to review the petition by Sawyer and Hammer to dismiss the complaint that was made in November. Um, None of the parties need to be there. The judge is going to look at this, determine if it has any merit, and if it does, the case will be summarily dismissed with or without prejudice. It's undetermined at this point. Now, the problem for these parties uh, is the legal liability from this. These people did not have the brains to file their publication as an LLC. That makes them personally liable for anybody that wants to sue them. They can't hide their home, their car, their possessions, their clothing, anything behind the shield of an LLC. And it doesn't matter. If they do it today, it's too bad. It's too late because they initiated this action, and anything that goes forward from this date uh, would invalidate an LLC. The only thing she could do is file bankruptcy again. And that means that TimothyCharlesHomeseth.com and all the websites that are on the internet being an asset could be seized by the parties in any legal action as, you know, a way to get relief. Any automobiles, any computers, any furniture, any property at all, personal or business, can be seized if the parties prevail in any action they should take against these two. Yes, according to, if I read the Pacer, let me bring that back up again. Because it was on notice of hearing to dismiss plaintiff's complaint, hearing set for 2/14/22 a.m. And I had read, let me see, this is 1 through 6. I can see other Pacer copy. Bear with me. Canceling the hearing schedule for 2/24/22 on defendant Randall Sawyer's motion to dismiss. The motion to dismiss shall be decided on the papers without a hearing by the judge. So this means the judge is going to review the paperwork, but there is not going to be a hearing. This is an administration uh, procedure. So uh, Craig Sawyer and Mr. Hammer does not appear in court. They would be notified by the court of the judge's decision, and that is there. Uh, Not even Erickson or Holmseth would need to be in court. There would be no hearing at all. It's been canceled. Basically, the judge is going to look at it, say, yeah, this has merit. No, it does not have merit. I'm going to dismiss it. End of end of story. So we will find out sometime on the 14th where we're going with this thing. Um, and it's going to be interesting because these people have put themselves, by filing this paperwork, in a rather precarious position. Because once you file something and you attest to it by signing your name, you're stuck. If you are making blatant false statement to a federal court against a defendant that you're naming, and this information turns out to be false, and there's legal terms for what's going on here, your ass is grass, because not only are you guilty of multiple counts of perjury, and each party would be part of this, but other violations of court procedure. Because this is what's known as malicious prosecution, is what they're doing. This is the term I was looking for. They're being malicious. They are doing this with criminal intent, and they're doing it knowingly. Now, Randy Lynn Erickson is listed as a pro se. She's being her own attorney in this, which is another moronic move. So are they screwed? Yes, they are screwed. They are screwed big time because you simply do not play games with a court. Now, Timothy Charles Homeseth has before been told by the court you were not supposed to file any action with the court without an attorney. Um, I have to think what the term is, but it's vexatious litigant. He publishes these weird, faceless things. He did this in Minnesota. He did this in Polk County, Minnesota for years. He sued the National Weather Service. He sued uh, the city of East Grand Forks. He sued the police department. He sued judges, all kinds of people. Accused them of all kinds of nonsense. And that's why he's too much of a coward to go back there, because he has to answer for all this. And it's one of the reasons they're glad he's gone, because he would, they're tired of dealing with him. He'd go into the county or to the police department and report that people slashed his tires, that somebody put drugs in his car or attempted to put drugs in his car, and the vice president of the United States is trying to kill him. All kinds of, they're going to take one look at all this and they're going to, you know, they may commit him on the spot. They may do um, some kind of order, to get this guy's head examined because of this, you know, nuttiness he puts out there. It's just, I can't believe somebody would be that dumb to do this crap. But here he is. And, when I first heard about it, I says, no, he's not that dumb. He's already been through this. But sure enough, when these documents started coming into my inbox, I went, you gotta be kidding me. Again? He's doing this stuff? Excuse me. He hasn't learned the first time around? But, the guy never learns. And he keeps this up. He doubles down. And he does so at the behest of this crazy woman, and they're both going to wind up getting buried by the time this is done. So yeah, if anything, this is real amusing, and it's a study on how not to conduct yourself in the court system. This is classic sovereign citizen stuff. You see people like David Strait and Kirk Pendergrass and the Bundys doing this nonsense. But now we have uh, these nutcases doing all this. And so well, they are delusional. I don't know where they thought that they were going to get any traction with it. But, they've committed themselves to this, and, you know, it's going to be up to the court. I mean, anything's possible. I mean, you know, I look at the Casey Anthony case. I mean, there's enough weirdos in the court system now that they might get away with this, but I doubt it. It'd be funny if they got away with it, but I don't think it's going to happen because they are committing fraud. Infiltrated, you're going to get banned. I told you about this before, and you just will not stop. Do not come in here again. I'm getting fed up with you. Yeah, okay, somebody else must have got to her first. But, you know, you know, why are you interested in underwear? Do you go around smelling men's underwear? This is the only thing I can figure out. And we all know who infiltrated by truth is. So infiltrated by truth is admitting that they like the smell of men's underwear. Uh, do you? I'm wondering if uh, Timmy even wears underwear. Does Timmy have a pair of whitey tighties? If they're whiteys, they're probably dirty whiteys. Um, he got fired from a job uh, because he wouldn't take a bath and he wouldn't shut up. He wouldn't do his job as a janitor. He had to go around and bug everybody with his screwball and conspiracy theories, and complaints were made, and he was fired. And what's funny, with all these lawsuits he's filed, and it's a matter of record, he has lost every single one of them. He has never, ever won a lawsuit. He filed a lawsuit against me. It was dismissed. And what's funny is it was a bar member who represented him, and the bar member couldn't even get it through the court system. They dismissed the case. Yeah, so she's representing herself in these two filings, and it's not going to go anywhere. Well, I kind of figure because I tried to I tried to do it myself and it didn't work. But that's good. But infiltrated apparently is someone that likes to sniff people's underwear, and maybe they collect underwear just for the um, hell of it. And does he sniff women's underwear or is he just sniffing men's underwear? You know, He's certainly interested in underwear that's not his, because he probably doesn't have any. Maybe he wears other people's underwear. I don't know. Maybe that's what that trespass warrant was about. How come, that's interesting. And all this time, Infiltrated by Truth has never, ever talked about the trespass charge that was issued in Thief River Falls, Minnesota. And what about the grand theft? Did this guy steal $1,000 worth of underwear? Because grand theft means that you stole over a certain amount of money. And he got convicted of both of them. It's in the court record. It's in the police record. He got convicted. So, he could sit there and deny until he's blue in the face. But he got convicted of all this stuff. Now, I don't know, you know, the thing about usernames is you don't know who they are. You could speculate, yeah, that's Timmy or that's Randy or that's the idiot from Canada or, yeah, but we don't know. And quite honestly, I don't care. The only reason I'm talking about this nonsense is because of this court case. This is a current case in the federal court, so it merits discussion. And it's attacking several public figures. And so it's a matter of public interest. And they filed the complaint. It's there on the screen. Case numbers up at the top. Anybody that wants to can go on Pacer and get this information. You can check it out for yourself. Pacer gives you a 14-day free trial. So you got 14 days to go into Pacer, put in Erickson versus Stoyer et al., and everything will come up unredacted. Now, as far as the zip drives and the evidence there, I'm going to check with the court to find out if these things can be released. But since everybody involved in this case knows about this stuff, it's really not necessary because it's the same bull crap that we've seen on the internet for over a decade. The very same accusations. There's nothing in this stuff that they've handed to the court that's secret. It's all stuff that they put on their various social media sites for. That's a possibility because she she's committing perjury, and when you sign your name to the form that they give you, she filled out a generic form that one two three four five that I read off. That's a generic form. You can get it from the court. You fill it out. You send in your $400, and it's filed. And she's requesting a jury trial, and the judge has to weigh whether or not there can be a trial based on the evidence that she has provided to the court. Now, Craig Sawyer and Mr. Hammer have provided evidence to the court to the contrary. The judge will weigh both of these, and the judge will decide whether or not to dismiss the case. If the case gets dismissed, then Sawyer and Hammer can turn around and sue her and Timmy and any party or member of the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force, TimothyCharlesHomestead.com, and WriteIntoAction.com. Anyone affiliated with those publications can be sued. And it's a joint several liability. Joint and several liability. Excuse me. So there's people that have worked themselves that they're to the point of being uh, subject to being not only being subject to a lawsuit, but they may find themselves in criminal liability because the Canadian woman is being investigated for filing false complaints with the United States military. That's already being looked into, and the Canadian is also in trouble for statements that she's made of a threatening nature. So that's being investigated by the RCMP. Uh, Yeah, these people have no idea the can of worms they've opened by playing these childish games. But this is what they want, you know, and this is what they're going to get. It's the old adage, be careful what you wish for, you just might get it. Because they are accusing innocent people of federal crimes. They're accusing people of first degree murder, kidnapping, which is a federal offense, interstate kidnapping, which is a federal offense, aiding and abetting a kidnapping, aiding and abetting child trafficking, serial killer of persons under the age of 18. I mean, these are pretty serious charges that they're putting on court records. And if they are deliberately doing this with malicious intent, that is perjury and all this other stuff. And as I have stated repeatedly, they are impersonating an official of a government agency. They are saying that the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force was officially commissioned and that they are working with the Joint Special Operations Command, which they are not. This is a violation of the law. This is a violation of the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act because they are seeking funds based on these credentials. It's known as wire fraud. So they've got that. And because of the nature of these organizations, they are subject to RICO because that's exactly what they are. They're a criminal enterprise. They are breaking the law in order to garner funds off the internet. The Federal Trade Commission's even involved because of something that they've done recently. They keep breaking law after law after law after law, and they're blatantly doing it in public because they don't think people care about it. But the problem is every time they do something that's a violation of the law, it gets reported. And they've done it again. And the subject of the Federal Trade Commission, they are advertising over on Telegram, from my understanding, that for a fee, you can get counterfeit COVID cards. These are cards where if you fill them out, they whether you're if if you're not vaccinated, which is the whole point of these cards, if you are not vaccinated, you can fill these cards out pretending that you were vaccinated, and you can use these vaccination passports to pass yourself off as vaccinated when you fly an airplane, when you go into a store, because anywhere, because the passport, which I have a copy of, states that you've been vaccinated, you've had your booster shot, which means that you are exempt in many locations from having to wear a mask. And if you're employed, your employer doesn't, is not going to make you go and get vaccinated. This is a violation of the law, and it's a serious violation. And they have been reported to the Federal Trade Commission for being involved in this. And so there's that. These people have no idea how deep they're getting into the tar pit. They seem to think they can break any law that they feel like it because they feel that former President Trump will get reelected and pardon them or something. Well, Redline, it's not 100% safe. You can voluntarily not take the shot, but you're subject to either being tested or denied certain things. I'm not telling anybody here they have to go out and get the vaccine. It's a personal decision. There's a decision in federal court that large employers cannot require you to have the vaccine. But at the same time, you cannot go around issuing a falsified document stating that someone has taken the shots who has not. It's a federal offense, and this will get you locked up for a long, long time on top of a nice heavy fine. And the Federal Trade Commission has been notified that they are doing this. The documentation from Telegram that was screen grabbed has been sent to the Federal Trade Commission. There is a case number. They are looking into it. Um, and they have said that even though they are not the party actively selling these forms, the fact that they are advocating the sale of these forms and advertising it on behalf of the individual involved makes them equally guilty. It's like if you drive someone to a bank and they rob the bank and you drive them away, you are just as liable as they are. And that's what's going to happen here. If the Federal Trade Commission decides to prosecute these people, it is because they are co-defendants in a criminal act. In this case, it's going to be wire fraud, and it's going to be violation of the law that has to do with these forms. This is no joke. The government doesn't fool around. And since these are followers of Trump, and this is, and the Justice Department's being run by a democratically uh, appointed federal attorney and so on down through the chain, there's going to be more of an incentive here for these people to be tracked down and put in jail. So if they believe there's a deep state, then they're going to get a taste of what the deep state's going to do because they just put themselves in the sights of the so-called deep state, or in this case, the Federal Trade Commission. It's, I'm sorry to hear that people are having side effects from the vaccines. There have been a small number of complaints. I I took the 2 shots. I got the booster. I'm doing fine. There were no side effects, no clots. I don't have a chip running around in my bloodstream or any of that nonsense. If I die tomorrow, then it's my own tough luck. If I die tomorrow, it's going to be because of one of these terrorists from over on BitChute hunt me down and shoot me because they think I'm a pedophile, thanks to Timmy and company. So if I die for any reason, the first person they need to talk to is home safe. Well, I think I said my piece here, guys. I'm going to be, tomorrow's Monday, I'll be making my phone calls to the various jurisdictions throughout the country, tracking all this information down. But it looks like these two idiots are going to try and make a name for themselves. They're going to drag people through the mud. Timmy will probably do another video about me again since I've stepped on his toes and got his panties in a wad. Oh, that's right. He may not even be wearing underwear. Even in women's underwear, I thought he was wearing it. But what can I say? You know, they put this stuff on the record. It's a court case. I do reports on court cases that are of the public interest, and that's what this is. So I will be tracking this down, and we'll see where it goes. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Please like, subscribe, um, share, and hit the notification. And I will let people know when I come back on about anything. And I would hope that everybody is safe. You don't get the COVID. You don't get any side effects from the vaccines if you take it. And just be safe and be good. And as I move forward, I will um, be coming up with a few surprises. So This is William K. Murtaugh, Merc Witness 1. For all of you, have a good one.